how are my favorite girls in the world doing? I am so excited to be here today, and today's episode is very close to my heart. It's something that I have struggled with for so many years, but in the past 3 to 4 years, I was really committed to healing my relationship with food and my body, and I think I've gotten to a place where I can really speak from my own experience with the things that I realized were underneath all of that, and how I was able to really break that cycle of either binge eating or not eating at all, because I would fluctuate between the two very often. And so learning to moderate that and finally get to a place where I allow myself to eat food and I'm not binge eating, but I'm also not like withdrawing, and I'm just eating when my body feels like it, and I'm respecting my body and honoring my body. And I've come to a place where I've learned to learn myself unconditionally and not change my body in order to feel worthy or to feel lovable or to feel sexy even. So that has been such a journey for me, because my entire life I grew up hearing a lot of very specific things around food and body, and my parents, my family was very judgmental when it came to appearance, and they would make comment on other people's bodies, on our bodies even. You know, I'm sure we all relate to the, oh, you've lost a little weight, or wow, that's what I mean, like, wow, you've lost a little weight, or oh, you've put a little weight, like you should be careful with what you're eating, and everyone just like giving you your opinions on something that is none of their fucking business. But you know, that was society when we grew up, and also then growing up with expectations, with looking at people that you admire and beautiful women on like magazines and now social media and all those things, and it really puts the pressure on what you think you're supposed to look like. And then when you don't look like that, it makes you feel a lot of shame, and then you internalize it. And if you don't learn how to process that, and you don't learn how to, you know, act with yourself or show up for yourself in a way that is not coming from that place of shame, you just continue that cycle over and over and over again, and it just makes you feel even more ashamed of yourself and your body. So I really want to talk about this. I feel like for women in their 20s, this is such an important conversation to have. I don't see many people talking about it. And you know, you just scroll so much online and you see all these beautiful Instagram influencers, and it makes you continue to internalize that you're not enough, and you continue to chase these body goals and have the most dysfunctional relationship with food, when in reality, like, all you need to do is actually look at the relationship you have with yourself. Because when you look into that, this pattern is going to stop, and you're going to stop waiting for you to look a certain way or have a certain number on the scales to feel worthy, to feel enough, to feel lovable, to feel sexy. So that's kind of the conversation that I really want to have. I made a few notes just because I want to really stick to what I want to say, stand on business, because I could literally talk about this all day. It's something that, again, it's something that I really suffered with throughout my teenage years to early adult years, to the point where that shame was so normal to me that at the time with my ex, like, he would comment on my body in a very shameful way as well, and I would be okay with it, because deep down I felt like it was okay, like it was valid what he was saying. And I had so much comparison issues and all of that, because deep down I wasn't really accepting myself and all the changes that my body had throughout the years. Because the truth is, like, we're growing up, our hormones are acting, and we change throughout time. And even as a woman now, like, each month we're like going through so many fluctuations. Like, my body changes in a month. There's moments where I'm feeling really bloated, and that's when I'm closer to my period, and then there's moments where I feel like I've lost 3 pounds, and that's normal. And learning to embrace those fluctuations rather than like shame yourself, it's so important as a woman, because we never look the same, you know, and that's not a bad thing. And it doesn't mean that you can't look after your health, or that you can't, you know, be active physically and all those things. But it's so important that we learn to do that from a place of love rather than from a place of shame. And so that's the entire conversation I'm going to have. And hopefully by the end of this episode, you're really going to have the tools, and especially the perspective, to finally start looking at food in a whole new way, instead of like carrying that shame and that weight around food and movement, you know, and working out and all those different things, and finally learning to see it from a place of from a place of neutrality. I guess ultimately that's really what I want. I know how heavy this topic can be, so I really want to first start with the fact that like there's no shame around it, you know? There's no shame in feeling the way you feel. There's no shame in the shame that you feel with yourself and your body, because unfortunately that's kind of how we grew up, and now we're learning to unlearn all those things and all those stories and all those beliefs. So just really want you to know that this is all about recognizing and accepting and really understanding where you are so that you can move forward with love and compassion towards yourself rather than hate and punishment. So the first thing that I want to say is that often we think about our relationship with food and we think it's just that, our relationship with food. But in reality, our relationship with food is actually our relationship with our emotions and our relationship with ourselves. Because a lot of the times we use food in order to distract ourselves from certain emotions. And what I've realized is that we are either binge eating, which is usually when we're avoiding a lot of emotions and chasing after comfort and after just like literally stuffing down our emotions, or we are not eating at all, and that's kind of coming from a place of punishment where we're actually not also handling our emotions and we're just kind of like withdrawing. We're just kind of like punishing ourselves for how we're feeling about ourselves, ultimately for our insecurities about ourselves, for our shame, and we're just kind of punishing ourselves for the behaviors that might come from those emotions. And I would fluctuate between the two often. So I'm speaking obviously from my own experience. And I think that actually, before I go into this whole thing, very important disclaimer is if you really genuinely feel like you cannot go through this process alone, seek help. It's totally okay. You know, I was able to do it mostly with myself, but if I wasn't, I would have invested in help, in therapy, in a coach, in someone. I would have talked to a friend, like whatever it is. But I know that depending on where you are with your relationship with food, like if you need help on it, go seek for it, right? So that's the first thing that I want to say. This is not medical advice, okay? This is just me talking about my own experience and hopefully giving you a few golden nuggets that you can use on your own journey. But so for me, that was really important to understand, because I stopped thinking about food and I stopped thinking about, I should eat more of this and less of that, and I should blah, 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 and labeling food as bad or good or wrong and right. And rather, I just completely stopped thinking about it and focused really deeply on my emotions, really deeply on understanding my shame, my fears, my anxiety, because I realized most of the times when I was binge eating, because that was most of my young adult years, and most of the times when I was binge eating, it was coming from a place of not wanting to face those emotions. So learning to face them was actually like solving half of the issue, you know, like learning to make space for my fears, my shame, my sadness. That was such an important, part of it. And so that's what I realized, anytime I'm feeling more intense emotions that I don't know how to process, that I don't know how to digest, I literally try to shove it down with food, because food for me has always been a sense of comfort and a sense of like coziness and a sense of safetyness, right? And even if I think about growing up, a lot of the times the only time where it was peaceful inside my household was at the table. It was when we were all eating and no one is talking. And even then, it could be dramatic sometimes, but most of the times that was actually the most peaceful moments, and food felt so great compared to everything else sometimes going on. And I think I established that point of like, this is like a safety for me. This is like a point for me where I get to feel good. And so I just associated food with feeling good. But then the thing is, if you're not feeling good in general and you're constantly using, food to deflect that, it's only going to like make the problem worse. So instead of even looking at your relationship with food, try to think about your relationship with emotions. Are there any emotions that you're currently avoiding? What are emotions that you usually struggle to digest? Is it shame? Is it fear? Are you like worried about something? Are anxieties coming up often? Because like when you get to a certain point in your personal development, And I think, unfortunately, like, you can literally come into this world online and you feel like you're obligated to be positive all the time, which is fucking bullshit, by the way. But it's the fact that you start realizing that all these emotions are here and they're not meant to not be here. You're not supposed to be positive all the time. It's much more powerful to know how to handle all that comes up, right? So I can tell you from my own personal experience, like, for the last few months, I've been feeling a lot of waves of anxiety and worries and frustrations, and it's not easy to process that. It's not easy to stay present in your body, aka not distract yourself and not seek for like a quick fix. And usually for me it would be food or binge eating or scrolling on my phone or things like that, and instead really learning how to make space. So sometimes what I do is I literally set a 5-minute timer when I'm feeling like, okay, this is here and it's been here and I'm noticing that I'm distracting myself. As soon as I catch myself distracting myself, I literally drop everything, I set a timer on my phone, and I start that process of just sitting down and letting that feeling come through and noticing, okay, where am I feeling this in my body? How does it feel like? And it usually feels like shit. and I just let it sit there for 5 minutes. I give myself at least 5 minutes. And if I need more, if it's a bigger feeling, sometimes I journal about it. Journaling has been such a helpful tool for me throughout the last few years. And so I just journal about it. I make space, I cry, like whatever I need to, but I feel it. You know, that has been so important. Being in a different place of your life and being a more, I guess, evolved, a better version of yourself, whatever you want to call it, it does not exclude that reality. It does not exclude the other side of the coin where you have to face those types of emotions. It does not exclude shame and negativity and fear and self-doubt and the feeling of failure and anxiety. It does not exclude that, right? So that's something that I really want you to understand, because you are going to have to learn how to face these things either way in your journey. But it's really important to do that because, again, when you don't know how to do that, you end up going after, like, you search for the easy way out. And that's usually when you get stuck on very toxic coping mechanisms like binge eating, like watching TV shows throughout the entire night and not sleeping properly. Like, all these things are actually like tiny addictions that you have because you are in avoidant mode with yourself. And so the best way to really learn to, you know, kind of reverse that coping mechanism and reverse that type of pattern that you have is actually going into the deep rooted part, which is your emotions. So if you start paying attention to them, if you start talking to your friends about it, or again, you can seek out help and go to therapy and all those things. That has been such an important support in my life right now. And doing that for myself. What is this sound? Seagull. That's so crazy. But seeking that help for myself has been so important in being able to move through life and actually like move forward rather than just staying stuck in this repetitive cycle and loop of not being able to break free. Because the truth is, avoiding emotions is such a big prison, and thinking that you can fix how you feel by shoving it down and not looking at it and using all these different ways to distract yourself, it just continues to feed that cycle of shame and self-abandonment and rejection, and that only creates even deeper wounds. So the best thing you can do, and again, this is not about shaming yourself or about, you know, oh, you're so fucked up, because we did not learn how to process emotions. And so you get to do that now as an adult, as someone who is more conscious of these processes. Like, you get to look at yourself and really recognize, like, this is not how I want to do it. I don't want to wait for like the perfect reality in order to feel good about myself. And I don't want to have to shove it down in order to feel okay, because you don't feel okay. You may feel numb and you may feel, you know, disconnected, but you can never feel truly good if you're just avoiding yourself, because it's ultimately just going to create a lot of feelings of distance with yourself, disconnection with yourself, and that's not how you're going to create a life that you love. That's not definitely not how you're gonna fall in love with yourself. If you want to do that, you really need to look at you. And a lot of the times we don't look at the parts of us that we really should, the parts of us that we're ashamed of, that we, our fears, our wounds, like all those things. Those are the places that we need to go to if we really want to move forward. If you're ready to enter your most iconic main character era, then you need to stick around and hear this, okay? Before we keep going to the rest of the episode, I want to take a moment to talk about the Girls in Growth Patreon, which is a new addition to our world. And this is the place where you're going to learn to align with your dream life and live like your higher self so that you can attract all the things that you desire. All your manifestations, all your biggest dreams and goals are going to come to life because you are going to become the woman who naturally attracts them. You are going to learn the foundations that are going to make you more confident, more magnetic, and more unstoppable. So definitely go check it out, because on Patreon, you're going to receive all the tools, all the practices, all the step-by-step processes that allowed me to come so far in my journey. And I decided to share them all with you inside the Patreon. There's a 7-day free trial available for you if you want to check it out to see if it aligns with what you want and what you need right now. I'm going to leave the link in the description of this episode. Definitely go check it out. I love you. That's the first thing that I really want you to understand. Your relationship with food is mostly about your emotions. So again, think about what emotions do you usually, don't confront? What emotions do you usually run away from or avoid? And really make space for them. I actually have a whole workbook coming out this month on Patreon, and a big part of it is going to be about looking at all these different emotions within you and what is beneath them. So for example, there's going to be an entire section of positive and quote unquote negative emotions, which basically means pleasant and unpleasant emotions. And we're going to be like, okay, what happens with your shame? What do you see when you look at your shame? What is there? And your fear and your happiness and your pleasure. So all these different things, because this month is all about really looking at yourself, recognizing yourself, rediscovering yourself. So definitely go check it out, by the way. And so I think that's been really important for me personally, is that the more I make space for my emotions, the less I go into these coping mechanisms, the less tiny addictions I have to, binge watching shows until 7 a.m. It's been just completely changed, And the other thing is, when you start looking at your emotions, you start considering yourself in a different way. You gain so much self-respect, so much self-love. And I think that's also been really important. I'm not looking at my relationship with food in terms of oh, these are good foods, these are bad foods, this I don't want to eat, this I literally let go of all of that. I stopped focusing on that, and I really focused on me and how I feel about myself and going into the deep-rooted shit. And what I realize is a big part of our relationship with ourselves is also our relationship with our body, but not just about food or how it looks, because we often think about our relationship with our body. And even when we talk about self-love or self-confidence, we usually think about body and appearance and all of that, but it's so much deeper than it, because your body is not just how you look. Your body is literally again, how you process your emotions. It's how you take care of yourself and your hygiene. It's how much time you sleep and how you honor your sleep schedules. Is making sure that you don't burn out and that you're resting, but you're also moving your body and doing making as much of a healthy choice as you can, if that makes sense, because that's coming from love. So it's not about punishing yourself. It's not about working out just so you can look a certain way or just so that you can feel good about yourself. And it's not going on a diet just because certain foods are labeled as bad and you don't want to give that to your body, but actually you just feel so much shame because then you want those foods. And then when you eat those foods, you feel shitty about yourself. When you stop making it about how you look and you understand that there's more to your relationship with your body than that, and when you actually focus on how your body feels, it just shifts the focus to the point where you really decentralize your appearance from it. So something that personally helped me was really focusing on all these different ways that I wasn't honoring my body or that I wanted to honor my body and how I could make more space for it. So one of the things that I first did was actually, in order to decentralize the appearance part of the equation, was I stopped weighting myself. And I think generally you should only weight yourself for medical reasons, but if it's not for medical reasons, if it's not something that you genuinely need to do, stop doing it. It was the most freeing thing ever, because I used to weigh myself every single day. Like, that even mattered, you know? And so it was so bad every time I saw that number go up. I just felt so much shame. But the thing is, that was keeping me trapped in that idea of, like, I celebrate myself when I'm losing weight and I shame myself when I'm not. Just taking that out of the equation released so much space for me to focus on how my body actually feels when I eat certain foods versus when I eat others, how my body feels when I eat too much versus when I don't eat enough. And so I started feeling or focusing on my body's sensations rather. And so that was the first thing that I did. I highly recommend for you to do that. Honestly, it completely shifted my relationship with my body and with food and with myself in general. I literally haven't weighed myself for 3 years now. I do not miss it. And has my body changed throughout time? Maybe. I can't tell. I can't tell anymore. Sometimes it fluctuates, but I don't think it has fluctuated so much. And I think that's a good thing, because my lifestyle is healthy. It's not this like obsessive health guru type of lifestyle at all. But I feel like it's healthy because it's a balance and because it's harmonious. That's the word. Because it's harmonious and it's not coming from a place of punishing myself or pushing a certain agenda on my body, and rather I'm just doing what feels good, what feels right, and going with the flow rather than like forcing it. And I think especially for women, we need that. I think it makes so much more sense that a man is more like harsh and like quote unquote with their bodies, and they push it and they're like working out and waking up at 5 a.m. or whatever the fuck. Personally, as a woman, someone who's really connected to their divine feminine energy, that's what I mean. And I do have more like feminine tendencies. I mean, I'm a Cancer rising, so that explains a lot. But what I've noticed is that generally does not feel good. It does not feel good to have to wake up super early or like push myself constantly physically. You know, I'm not saying that you shouldn't or that it's bad to do so, but you need to really reflect on whether you're doing it for yourself or because you don't feel like you're enough as you are. Those are two different things. And sometimes we kind of trick ourselves into believing we're doing it for self-improvement, but truly we're doing it because we don't like how we look, or we don't feel like we're enough how we are right now. And so that was really important for me, to decentralize my body weight and how my body look and just focus on how I feel. And so if you don't want to start with your relationship with food, what I recommend is start with your body's relationship to other things. For example, how is your sleep schedule and how can you honor your body when you feel really tired? Or the simplest thing, if you want to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. How you take care of your hygiene, because when I was going through like my hardest period of my life, I really started neglecting that part of me, like neglecting my hygiene. I wasn't brushing my teeth, I wasn't showering, and that was also kind of me telling myself in a way like, you don't matter. I'm not focused on that. I don't care about you, you know? Just imagine if a parent doesn't shower their kid, you know, like that's a neglectful parent. So I started realizing like, oh, I'm being a neglectful parent to myself. And so I started feeling, how can I be the best parent to myself? How can I be my best friend? And so those little things became really important. Let me, hydrate myself. Let me pay attention to how my body feels and the frequency that I go to the bathroom, the frequency that I poop, how my cycle is going. Like, let me respect my cycle a bit more. And when I'm on my period, let me slow down a little. And when I'm not on my period, let me maybe move my body more. Do I feel like doing a more harsh workout, or do I feel like going with the flow and maybe doing a little yoga session? I'm noticing that I'm not like very hydrated. Let me drink water. Or, I think it's, that time of the week for showering and just cleaning my body. Or I'm feeling a bit dirty, or I've sweated a lot today. So let me just, cleanse my body and my energy in a nice shower. And something that became really important is, and this really helped me break the cycle. And I had to repeat this time and time and time again, which was, no matter how I feel about my body, and meaning how I feel about how I look, no matter how insecure I felt that day, no matter how hard it was for me to look in the mirror, no matter how hard it was for me to look the way I looked, to love the way I looked, I still ate the same. I ate every single meal, and I respected my body. It did not matter. I stopped letting that dictate what I did, because if you're letting these feelings and these stories dictate your actions, that's when you're solidifying those beliefs, right? Like if you feel and you think to yourself like, oh, I don't look good enough, I'm not enough if I look this way, or I don't look beautiful, and then you act on not feeling beautiful so you don't eat, or whatever, you're just kind of reinforcing that belief of I don't look beautiful, so I'm going to treat myself worse, and so I'm not worthy of love, because when I'm not beautiful, I don't love myself and I don't act with love for myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, am I saying this in a way that makes sense? If you use that in a sense of, okay, because I don't feel beautiful, I'm going to treat myself different and I'm going to treat myself worse, you're actually saying to yourself, when I don't feel beautiful, or okay, when I'm not beautiful, I don't deserve love. And you're the first person to do that to yourself. So to me, it was so important that no matter how I feel, I'm going to treat my body the same, with love and respect and kindness. So even on my worst days, because I still have those days where, my body is looking a bit more, bloated, or I'm just feeling extra insecure that day. And it's still hard to look in the mirror. Sometimes it still is hard. But what I do is, instead of punishing myself or grabbing my belly's fat and being like, I wish this could just snip right off of me, I actually hold my belly and I'm like, I love you and you deserve to be here, and I'm not going to change you. I just hug myself. I hug my body. I eat the same, exactly the same as I would eat any other day. And doing that repetitively, suddenly it's like, I don't feel beautiful, but I'm saying, but I love you still. And you still deserve food. You still deserve to shower and to take care of yourself. You still deserve to dress up. You still deserve to feel beautiful. You are still worthy. And because I'm acting from that place, suddenly it's like, so I am worthy even when I don't feel beautiful. And it's like, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. In every action, I'm reinforcing that new belief. And so the more I've done that, the more I genuinely feel good about my body. And the more I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, damn, I would do you. You are so hot. Oh my God. I'm like, I want to rip my own clothes off and I want to go at it into the thick of it. I genuinely feel more often than not nowadays that way about myself, full on confident, full on feeling sexy and hot, even knowing that maybe I don't look like an Instagram model, or even though I know that my ex maybe wouldn't like the body that I have nowadays. And sometimes those things still get to my head, okay? Sometimes if a guy rejects me, I'm still wondering, is it because I'm not super skinny and I don't look like, I don't know, Ariana Grande or something? Because that was always a big insecurity of mine, but I just continue to act in the same way. And even as I'm saying this, I feel my heart, and that's still something that I'm learning to heal within myself. But oh my God, if you had seen me 3 years ago, I was not the same person in the way I treat my body nowadays. So that is really important. No matter how you feel about what you look like, still show up with love and kindness for yourself, because that's what is gonna rebuild a new story and a new belief and a new feeling when you look at yourself. And when you're relating to your body, you're gonna start feeling different. And when your body becomes your home, it starts becoming kind of irrelevant if you look a certain way or not, because you love yourself and because you feel good in your home, and because you respect it so much, and because you honor it and you value it. And something that's also so important is really respecting those bodies, your body's boundaries in that sense, okay, if I need to rest, I'm gonna rest. This is something that I'm still learning to work with myself, and setting up the right schedules and the right nap times and all those things that really help me rest. And the times where I need to eat, and the times where I need to shower and take care of myself, the times where I need to go for a walk, I'm still learning to do that. But the more I do that, and the more I prioritize that over the way I look, because that is so that is like so small. That is so fleeting. I think that's the word I really want to like use. That is so fleeting, because if you think about it, you're going to continue to change and you're going to grow old. Like that's the fact. You're going to grow old and you're going to have more wrinkles in your face, and maybe your body is going to feel a bit more, I don't remember the word, but your body is going to look different and your boobs are going to fall a little bit and all those things. And imagine that every single year, because I honestly, I see my mom as an example. Like every single year she talks about the year before and she says, oh, I was looking so much better now. And I keep telling her, Mom, you say that every single year. What if you just love yourself how you look now? And so that's what I think. It's like, I don't want to be 40 or 50 or 60 and think that when I was feeling super insecure in myself, I actually had a beautiful body. I want to feel that right here, right now, because imagine the time that you waste focusing on how your body looks, when you could just be focused on building your dream life and feeling good about yourself and, finding your soulmate friends and traveling the world and, pursuing your passions and all these different things. And instead of doing that, you're just focused on how your body looks, and then your body keeps changing and you keep feeling unhappy about it. It's not worth it. Oh my God, I really have to go in a little bit, but it's not worth it. You deserve better. And I think the best thing that you can truly do is understand that you deserve that love from yourself. And so really prioritizing building a healthy relationship with your emotions, where you're focusing on how you feel and really like addressing these things, and instead of hiding from your shame, letting yourself feel that shame and still embracing it and hugging yourself and feeling and telling yourself like, I know I feel this way and I'm still worthy and I still love you and I love me so damn much, and just really reassuring yourself over and over and over and over again. That's so important. And the last thing that I want to say, because unfortunately I really have to go, but the last thing that I want to say is like, this is a process. You're going to have ups and downs. So learning to be really patient and kind to yourself, instead of like shaming yourself every time a negative thought comes through. It's like, okay, this is here, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse to punish myself. And you're just like, okay, I'm feeling this way and I don't like feeling this way, but I see you and I'm here for you. So learning to find that compassion and that kindness for yourself is so important. And again, if you struggle with this, these are the types of tools that I am building for you on Patreon. I'm doing weekly drops with, practices and guided meditations and affirmations and all those things that can really help you continue to reaffirm these things to yourself, to reassure yourself, and build this confidence and this unconditional self-love to the point where it doesn't matter. And you generally feel whole and enough and beautiful no matter how you look. And no matter if one day you're feeling a bit more or less insecure, it really doesn't matter, right? Because you're going to feel really solid in the belief that you are worthy nonetheless, that you are worthy either way, right? No matter whether you're feeling a bit more bloated or your body is feeling a bit more snatched, or you have a full makeup on and you're looking like a bad bitch, or whether you are in your bed all day and you look like you haven't showered for a month. It doesn't matter, because your love is going to be so deeply unconditional. And that's what I really want you to focus on. Ultimately, this is going to be a journey. So the best thing is you can do is go step by step and start implementing these things, but with understanding and with compassion, because it is a process. It took me literally 3 to 4 years to be where I am today. And it was a big commitment. It's been a big commitment, and I continue to reinforce that as often as I can. And sometimes I still have my fallouts, and that's okay, because the best thing is that you can do is just understand that it's part of the process to have those moments, and continue to bring yourself back to your chosen preferred beliefs. And so doing that and having that patience and understanding and compassion with yourself, that level of kindness is what builds that safety with yourself and with you with your body. And that's the level of safety and security that you really deserve to feel. So that was it. I love you so much. This was such a fun episode to record, and I will talk to you next week. I love you. Bye.